Two buyers walked into the same car dealership on the same weekend, both interested in the exact same vehicle, same model, same trim, same color, even parked in the same spot on the showroom floor. By the end of the day, both drove away with that car, but one of them paid nearly $2,300 less than the other. Nothing about the car changed. The dealership didn't run a special promotion in between. The salesperson didn't suddenly become more generous. The only real difference was a single sentence, spoken at the beginning of the conversation. One buyer kept his payment method to himself, while the other walked in confidently and said, "I'm paying cash." That one statement quietly shifted the entire dynamic of the negotiation. It changed how the dealership viewed him, how they priced the deal, and how flexible they were willing to be. Most people grow up believing that cash is king, that paying up front gives you maximum control. But in the modern car buying world, that belief can cost you thousands of dollars without you even realizing it. To understand why this happens, you have to stop thinking of a car dealership as a place that simply sells cars. That's the biggest misconception most buyers carry into the process. A dealership is not just a retail store, it's a layered business model with multiple streams of income, each carefully designed to extract profit at different stages of the transaction. The price tag on the windshield is only the beginning. When most people negotiate, they focus entirely on that number. If the sticker says $30,000 and they manage to bring it down to $28,500, they feel like they've won. It feels like a victory because the discount is visible, measurable, and easy to understand. But what they don't see is everything happening underneath that number, the invisible layers where the dealership actually makes most of its money. Behind every car on that lot, there are financial relationships between the manufacturer and the dealer that the average buyer never sees. For example, dealerships often receive something called a holdback, which is essentially a percentage of the vehicle's price that gets paid back to them by the manufacturer after the car is sold. This means that even if they sell the car at what looks like their cost or even slightly below, they're still making money behind the scenes. On top of that, there are performance bonuses tied to sales targets. If a dealership sells a certain number of cars within a month or a quarter, they receive significant payouts. These bonuses can be large, enough that the dealership is willing to discount individual cars heavily just to hit that target. There are also incentives for moving specific models that the manufacturer wants to clear out, which adds yet another layer of hidden profit. When you combine all these elements, you begin to realize that the number you negotiate is only a small piece of a much larger financial puzzle. But even these hidden profits from the car itself are not where the dealership makes the most money. The real profit engine is waiting for you. Do you agree on the price? In a room that most buyers don't fully understand, the finance office. This is the stage where the transaction shifts from selling a product to selling a financial structure. The person you meet here is not just processing paperwork. They are one of the highest revenue generators in the entire dealership. By the time you sit down in that chair, the dealership already knows how much profit they've made or haven't made on the car itself. Now their goal is to maximize the value of the deal through financing and add-ons. One of the primary ways they do this is through interest rate markups. When you apply for financing, your loan is typically approved by a bank or lender at a certain interest rate based on your credit profile. However, the dealership often has the ability to increase that rate slightly before presenting it to you. That difference may seem small, maybe 1 or 2 percentage points, but over the life of a loan, it can translate into hundreds or even thousands of dollars. That extra money doesn't go to the bank. It goes directly to the dealership as profit. And because most buyers focus on the monthly payment rather than the total cost of the loan, this markup often goes unnoticed. In addition to financing, the dealership offers a range of add-on products designed to increase their profit margins. Extended warranties are one of the most common examples. They are presented as protection against future repair costs, and while they can provide value in certain situations, they are often priced far above what they cost the dealership. Gap insurance tire protection, paint protection, and various other packages are introduced in a way that makes them feel essential, especially after you've already committed emotionally to buying the car. By the time all these elements are added together, the dealership can generate a substantial amount of additional profit from a single transaction, sometimes even more than what they earned from selling the car itself. Now this is where the idea of paying cash starts to work against you. When you walk into a dealership and immediately declare that you're paying cash, you are effectively removing one of their biggest profit opportunities before the negotiation even begins. From the dealership's perspective, this changes everything. They now know that they won't be able to earn money from financing, interest rate markups, or many of the add-ons typically bundled into a loan agreement. As a result, they shift their strategy. Instead of offering aggressive discounts to close the deal, they become more rigid on the price. The flexibility disappears because they need to make up for the lost profit somewhere else. This is why the cash buyer often ends up paying more for the exact same car. It's not because the dealership dislikes cash buyers, it's because the economics of the deal have changed. When financing is on the table, the dealership is willing to reduce the car's price in exchange for the expected profit from the loan and add-ons. But when that option is removed, the only place left to generate profit is the vehicle's price itself. So the negotiation becomes tighter, slower, and less favorable for the buyer. What feels like a position of strength, having the ability to pay in full, actually reduces your leverage in a system that is designed to reward financing. Dealerships are also highly skilled at identifying what type of buyer you are within the first few minutes of interaction. They use subtle questions and conversational cues to gather information. They might ask how you're planning to pay, whether you've considered financing options, or what kind of monthly payment you're comfortable with. These questions are not random. They are part of a strategy to understand how much profit they can potentially generate from you and where that profit will come from. The more information you provide early on, the easier it becomes for them to tailor the deal in their favor. For example, if you reveal that you are focused on a specific monthly payment, they can structure the loan in a way that meets that number while extending the loan term or increasing the interest rate. If you mention that you're paying cash, they know they need to protect their margin on the car price. If you show uncertainty or hesitation, they may introduce additional products to increase the overall value of the deal. Every piece of information you give them becomes a tool they can use to maximize profit. The smartest buyers understand this dynamic and approach the process differently. Instead of revealing everything up front, they control the flow of information. They focus on negotiating the purchase price first, keeping the conversation centered on the total cost of the car rather than the method of payment. By doing this, they maintain leverage and keep the dealership motivated to offer discounts. The dealership, believing that financing is still a possibility, is more willing to reduce the price in anticipation of making money later in the process. Once the price is locked in, the buyer can then move to the financing stage with a clear understanding of the deal. This is where attention to detail becomes crucial. Reviewing the loan terms carefully, asking about interest rates, and understanding the total cost of the loan can prevent unnecessary expenses. One key detail to look for is whether there are any penalties for early repayment. Many loans do not have such penalties, which creates an opportunity for a strategic move. After the deal is finalized and the paperwork is signed, the buyer can choose to pay off the loan quickly, sometimes within days or weeks. This approach allows them to benefit from the lower negotiated price achieved by leveraging the dealership's expectation of financing profit while minimizing or eliminating the interest paid over time. It's a strategy that works not because it tricks the system, but because it aligns with how the system is designed to operate. At its core, the entire car buying process is a negotiation not just of price, but of information and timing. The dealership's advantage comes from their understanding of the system and their ability to guide the conversation. The buyer's advantage comes from awareness and control. When you understand where the profits are made, how the incentives are structured, and why certain behaviors trigger different responses, You move from being a passive participant to an informed decision maker. The key lesson here is not that cash is bad or that financing is always better. It's that the way you present yourself during the negotiation can significantly impact the outcome. Cash is a powerful tool, but only when used at the right time. Revealing it too early removes leverage, while using it strategically can enhance your position. The difference lies in understanding the system and playing the game with intention rather than assumption. In the end, buying a car is not just a financial transaction, it's a structured process designed to maximize profit at every stage. The dealership is not simply selling you a vehicle, they are managing a complex business model that includes pricing strategies, financial products, and behavioral psychology. When you recognize this, you stop viewing the process as a simple purchase and start seeing it as a negotiation within a system. And once you see the system clearly, you gain the ability to navigate it effectively, avoid common pitfalls, and ultimately keep more money in your pocket.